Hello and welcome back to FD, where today we'll be taking you through the top 10 biggest egos in football. And keep in mind, this was written by Patrick Van Straten, not me. 10. Ashley Cole. An Invincible and Arsenal Academy graduate, Ashley Cole was always convinced of his own value, and it was always about 10% higher than whatever he was being paid. The left-back engineered a switch to Chelsea in 2006 after the Gunners refused to meet his high wage demands. In an extract from his autobiography, Cole said when he heard the club's salary offer, he nearly swerved off the road. He then told his agent that Arsenal director David Dein was taking the piss and claimed that he was trembling with anger. The source for Cole's rage? He had asked for 60k a week and had only been offered 55. That was enough for Cole to join Jose Mourinho's Chelsea, where he picked up 90k a week, as well as a Premier League title, his third, and the Champions League. But karma eventually caught up to the defender. When he moved to LA Galaxy in 2016, Cole's wages dropped to £206,000 a year. That's under £4,000 every week. To put that into context, Jesse Lingard earns a reported 100k every 7 days at Man United, though I don't think Ashley's doing too bad. 9. Johan Cruyff. To the biggest dick in London, to the most influential player of all time. Johan Cruyff is in at 9. It's no surprise that a man who revolutionised the game as a player and a coach had a healthy self-regard, but Cruyff at times seemed to consider himself infallible, once saying, "Before I make a mistake, I don't make that mistake." At times that smugness cost Cruyff and his teammates. In the 1974 World Cup final, the superstar won his side a penalty in the second minute after some typical spellbinding possession play. The Germans went 1-0 down before they'd even touched the ball, but as the game wore on, the Dutch became complacent, expecting their pure class to carry them to the title. West Germany won 2-1. Even Cruyff's shirt number was a symbol of his self-belief. In the 60s and 70s, numbers were basically assigned to positions. Keeper, number 1. Right wing, number 7. Striker, number 9. But Cruyff chose 14 and played wherever he wanted. Even when he lost, he rarely gave credit to an opponent, once saying before a matchup against Italy, "They cannot beat us, but we can certainly lose against them." 8. Mario Balotelli. Now 27, it's hard to remember the days when Mario Balotelli was a bright young talent. In 2010, the Italian received the Golden Boy Award for the best footballer under the age of 21, beating then 18-year-old Jack Wilshere to lift the trophy. Ever gracious in victory, Mario claimed not to know Wilshere's name and said, "The next time I play against Arsenal, I will keep a close eye on him. Perhaps I can show him the Golden Boy trophy and remind him that I won it." He also said that he was better than all previous winners of the award except for Messi, in the process ranking himself above Aguero, Fabregas and Rooney. That turned out to be ill-advised. Balotelli has still never scored 20 goals in all competitions in a single season, and has not picked up a piece of silverware since winning the Prem with Man City in 2012, all while scoring fewer goals than Christian Benteke. Hardly the record of a world beater. 7. Pablo Dani Osvaldo. Dani, or is it Pablo? Osvaldo has probably slipped out of your memory, but the Italian is still only 31. Remarkably, the striker hasn't even managed to score 100 club goals in a career which has taken him into 12 different teams, including 7 in Italy. Renowned for his Johnny Depp looks, Osvaldo lacks the movie star's popularity, having punched teammates at 3 different clubs, 2 of them being Eric Lamela and Jose Fonte. He also bollocked a Roma fan who insulted him, telling the supporter, "I've scored 200 goals." It was a bit of an exaggeration. Osvaldo managed just 30 for the club. It's almost impressive how little the player cares about his reputation, once telling the press, "I have a horrible personality, but I kind of like being like this." He retired in 2016 after Boca terminated his contract in order to keep focus on breaking into the music industry. 6. Paul Ince. If you call yourself the governor, you're probably a massive dick. And Paul Ince didn't disappoint. The England international won the league twice with Man United, but after a short spell with Inter Milan, he joined United's rivals, Liverpool. And TV cameras at the Red Devils prior to the match caught Alex Ferguson calling Ince a big-time Charlie. On the field, Ince had refused to play the defensive role Fergie asked of him. And off the pitch, his need to feel in charge of the dressing room had some unsavoury results. While the midfielder complained about racism's negative effect on his career, he targeted international teammate Graham Lasso with homophobic abuse, apparently not understanding the irony of his bigotry. The player later lamented the people who had succeeded him in the national squad, saying caps were given out like confetti. 5. John Terry. Universally acknowledged as one of the biggest twats in football, John Terry spent 22 years at Chelsea, where he constantly praised himself for his loyalty to the club, which paid him over £11 million a year. The man christened Captain Legend Leader by Blues fans was once fined by the club for parking his Bentley in a disabled space, and somehow managed to keep his captaincy in 2012 despite being fined for racially abusing Anton Ferdinand. He even took money to give wealthy fans private tours of Chelsea's training ground. But Terry's final act at Stamford Bridge was perhaps the greatest display of self-love in the club's history. On 26 minutes, the same number Terry has worn his whole career, the ball was kicked out of play, and Chelsea players formed a guard of honour as the captain left the field. A tacky send-off arranged by the person it was meant to celebrate. What could be more John Terry? 4. Nicklas Bendtner. Unlike Terry, Cruyff and Cole, Nicklas Bendtner is an unimpressive player, making his enormous ego even more impressive by comparison. The Dane is now 29 and has started just 94 top-flight games throughout his career, despite playing under Arsene Wenger at Arsenal and Antonio Conte at Juventus. During his time at the Gunners, the striker underwent the same routine psychometric testing as his teammates, administered by psychologist Jacques Crevoisier. In one category, which required the player to assess his own talent, the doctor was alarmed to discover Bendtner had scored a 10. The chart usually only went to 9. Bendtner's confidence was literally off the scale. Crevoisier revealed that the player had such self-belief that when he misses a chance, he's always generally convinced that it wasn't his fault. Which is just as well, as the forward has missed plenty of chances in his career, which has seen him bag just 10 league goals on just one occasion. 3. Louis van Gaal. In his first 5 years as a manager, Louis van Gaal won 11 trophies, including 3 titles and the Champions League. The Dutchman had started at Ajax as a player, later becoming assistant coach, then head coach, and the Amsterdam side gave him total control, something he later demanded at Barcelona and Bayern Munich. Throughout his career, Van Gaal has never tolerated disagreement with his methods. He sold Osvaldo in 2002, weeks after the Brazilian had won the World Cup, and while at Bayern Munich, he dropped his trousers to show the team he had the balls to sell any of them. Even his friends referred to him as the King, while LVG insisted his daughters address him as Sir. Van Gaal spent just 2 years in Bavaria, despite winning the double and reaching the Champions League final in his first campaign, as his insistence on treating Bayern as his personal property angered the club hierarchy. But even getting sacked couldn't give the big man some humility. He later took credit for Bayern's treble under Jupp Heynckes in 2013. 2. Zlatan Ibrahimovic. There doesn't seem to be a single word which Zlatan loves more than his own name. The Swede fronted a Nike campaign called Dare to Zlatan, published an autobiography called I Am Zlatan, and even talks about himself in the third person so he can say Zlatan more. He's been doing it since a young age too. When he spoke about Arsene Wenger offering him a trial with Arsenal when he was 17, he turned it down, saying Zlatan doesn't do auditions. If that's not enough to show you how big his ego is, after crashing out of the qualifying round for the World Cup against Portugal in 2013, the 6'5" striker said, "One thing is for sure, a World Cup without me is nothing to watch." I think the 3.2 billion viewers may disagree. Not only does the 35-year-old love believing the world revolves around him, he even has his very own God complex. When asked by a reporter how he thought the outcome of a game would turn out, he said, "Only God knows, you're talking to him now." And when asked what he would name his son, he said Zlatan Jr. His sons are called Maximilian and Vincent. 1. Pele. Being called the best player of all time by old men who have apparently not seen any football since 1980 has turned Pele from an icon to an idiot. The Brazilian will whore himself out to anybody who will pay for his Viagra, and that's not even a joke, as Pele once employed drug company Pfizer to promote their erectile dysfunction pills. The 2-time World Cup winner, who was injured in 1962 and barely played as Brazil lifted the trophy, famously refuses to sign shirts for fans. And in 2012, when asked if Leo Messi was better than him, said, well, he has to be better than Neymar first. At the time, Neymar was 20 and playing for Santos. Messi had 5 titles, 3 Champions Leagues, and 250 goals for Barcelona. Pele has never predicted a tournament correctly either, but continues to tell everyone his terrible opinions, claiming China would make the World Cup quarter-finals in 2002 and Brazil wouldn't get out of the group. And in 2014, he capped off nearly 60 years of corporate shilling by announcing that he was selling 1,283 gems made from the carbon in his hair, 1 gem for each goal he scored. Maybe 526 of them are made from plastic, to represent the goals he scored against Brazilian peasants in friendlies. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. As usual, let us know what you thought in the comments below. And if you've liked that, why not check out the video that's on screen right now? Click it, it's a good one. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe.